Hello and welcome. This is Japan, and we have another DVD tier list here. I wanted to do this one because everybody always talks about how toxic killers are, but survivors can equally be toxic. And I have been a survivor main most of the time I played Dead by Daylight. So, in my experience, this is how I feel when I see somebody load up that's rando as this skin, I guess is the best way of saying it. Not all players play like that. It's not a blanketed statement, but this is the best way to say it, I guess. S tier will be the players that are the worst or most toxic. Bottom be least toxic, just so we don't get confused here. And we'll just kind of throw it out there. Most of the tier list I do here, I want to make sure that the things are all even, so we're going to kind of keep that. Mainly, I would say these ones are kind of like the S and the D tiers, are the ones you really pay attention to. The ones in the middle can go 50-50, but these are, again, just my experiences of just dealing with randos. The skin doesn't matter, but it does seem that they have some type of playstyle that certain characters have. I don't know what it is. But yeah, we'll go right off the bat. Dwight, sorry, the killers are up on top of here because for whatever reason the killer one didn't, or the survivor one didn't want to load up. So Dwight's normally when you see a Dwight, you're not gonna get any help. They're gonna normally just be hiding most of the time. I really don't like queuing up with Dwight. I don't know if I'd put him up in the worst. I feel like there's worse out there, but he would definitely slide up if I have space. So we'll put him in A tier there. Next up is Megs. See, Megs are normally like anytime I've ever played Killer and I see a Meg, it's terrible. When I play a Survivor, it's not the worst, and I think I play a pretty decent Meg. I'll put her in the middle. I feel like she can definitely be worse because I have gone into a game and saw a little Meg, and I'm like, oh, I'm just a little friendly trapper. Like, you guys want to have fun, and then this Meg will just absolutely try to bully me for no reason. But yeah, it's just it's very few and far between, but you never know. Next up is Claudette. I feel like Claudette in general normally is a pretty helpful teammate. They do hide a lot, but they tend to at least try to get unhooks and heals and stuff like that. So I'll put her in C. She could slide down a little bit towards the worst, but at the moment I think she's pretty safe there. Jake's just seem to mind their own business. I don't really ever have a problem with a Jake. He might slide to the least toxic, but I really need to know what type of space we're gonna have down there. So at the moment, yeah, I put him in C. And remember, this is just toxic to other survivors with a little bit of killer stuff. I know killers like that play a lot of the time probably also will have other ones, but yeah, there's certain survivors that are just toxic to all of them. And that is where Nia comes in, because Nia has always been this thing. The worst Nias are the ones that are the most bright, skins. It's just like frogs. The more bright and vibrant their colors are, the more dangerous they are. So yeah, Nias are the same way. They just load into loop killers, and if they don't get the loops, they'll DC or they'll just not do anything else, and it could be a nightmare. So I normally am not too happy to see a Nia. Definitely, if I'm a killer, I will. If I saw a full party of Nias, I would like, okay, I'm leaving. Lori's not played that often, so it's kind of hard to say. I think she would be kind of towards the bottom. All of her perks are kind of the let you die, being like the sole survivor. So yeah, I don't know. I think she's towards the bottom. Like I don't think she's that toxic, but we don't see her that often. Next up is Ace. Ace players tend to get you killed. I don't know what it is. They either just running them towards you or doing something that they shouldn't be, but they'll be out with only having one hook, and you'll be the rest of the party will be dead. Next was Bill. Bill's like always like good meaning. Like they seem like they're there to try to help you out, but they just don't seem to be doing much. So we'll put him in B, middle of the road. I don't think he's really toxic or helpful. He's just kind of there. Fangs are weird because like I feel like the better the outfit is, the worse, like the more toxic they're going to be. And if they're kind of just in their standard like couple couple like outfits that came out when Fang first came out, they're just kind of there and happy. But I will probably put them towards more of the worst because you do see them do a lot of crazy stuff. Next up is David. Now David's a weird one because if it's a David with no mither, then he's going to be pretty decent. But if he loads him with no Miller, he's got some weird build and he's not going to be useful then just going down every once in a while. So I put David in the middle of the road. I think that's a pretty decent one. Quentin seemed pretty nice. You don't really see them that often. I'm going to put him in C. His wake up perk is really good. A lot of the times you see Quentin, I think they're just running Adept and then they'll have that perk. So that's about it. Detective Tap, I don't think you really see many taps either. I'm gonna put him in C. It's kind of weird. You just certain characters you don't see that often. You see his perks used all the time, but not him particularly. But it also because he has very little cosmetics, so that could also be part of the issue. Next up is Kate. Kate is on the more toxic side. I don't think it's the worst, but like, I mean, I've seen some Kates do some heinous things. Next up is Adam. Adam's a weird one because if it's like a default skin Adam, then he'll be super sweet and be the best one. If it's in any other outfit, I feel like Adam's trending towards some of the worst. It's just because like I feel like a lot of the times they're just nowhere to be seen. Like we'll load in, we'll have an Adam, and you'll never see them at all. You never see them on a gen. You never see them doing anything. They're just there and existing, and I it's pretty bad. I mean, I guess it's not as much toxic behavior, but like not wanting to play the game is kind of toxic to your teammates, I guess. Next up is Jeff. I don't think I've ever really seen a Jeff be toxic. I'm gonna put him down at the bottom. I don't really ever see you don't see many Jeffs, but another one is Jane. I think Jane's another one that's just kind of a solid character. You see them load up, they're gonna help you out. They're not gonna really do anything to the killer, it seems. Like bad, but yeah, they're not gonna be too bad. Ash is middle of the road. Some of them load in, they're just the worst, and some of the rest of them just do their job and they don't say anything. Nancy trends to be a little bit more toxic than Ash. I would put her towards the bottom. They seem to be one of those that are just pestering the killer with flashlight saves. Not even saves, no, flashlight stuns. We won't even go saves because the saves are useful. They'll literally just be like, I'm gonna throw one ballot down, blind him, and do that like 3 or 4 times, and then the killer at that point is at their breaking point, and then they just kill everybody else because they never catch the Nancy. But yeah, next up is Steve. I've had a lot of toxic Steves, but I had a lot that are just like the best boys. So we're gonna put them in least toxic because they just go out there, do the job, and they seem always friendly, or they just like that golden retriever energy that Steve radiates in Stranger Things. So it just works. Yui. I feel Yui's pretty safe. I don't think she's pretty toxic like some of the other killer or other survivors. Zarina, I think, is towards the least toxic, especially with like the perk for the people, because a lot of times they'll be running that or off the record. Like they're all great perks and look really teamworky, and they team that they just do their job and not get the killer mad. Cheryl, okay, so Cheryl's weird because I feel like Cheryl's are fine. Sometimes the Star Guardian one that they have and the Jameses, even though I have a friend that plays James, just more of like they do a lot. They'll be trying to head on and do a lot of stuff like that. It's very James like. I'm gonna put them in the worst because yeah, they're gonna piss off that killer pretty easily. Felix, I feel like Felix is kind of middle of the road. I've had worse. I mean, like I've had better and I've had worse. Elodie, I feel like is not very toxic. You don't see a lot of Elodies, and they just seem to be helpful and not go after too many, too much bad stuff. Yoon, I feel like Yoon's kind of middle of the road also. We got Jill next. I feel like Jill's pretty useful with Claire too. I mean, I main it too. I main Jill, so I don't know if that's just bias, but I think they're not that toxic. Leon can be. I feel like Leon's a little bit more up towards the top. I'm gonna move Ace up, and I'm gonna move Dwight up now that seeing that we're getting through the list. Um, but Leon's can be pretty bad. Next up is Michaela. I gotta put her up towards the top. Like the Michaela players are insane sometimes. Like you get a rando Michaela and like she's living. She's definitely living at the cost of anything from you. She'll help you with Gen. She'll do some stuff, but if it when push comes to shove and it's like, oh, she's not been hooked and you have two hooks, she's moving out that way. She's not gonna help you. It's just that's how it is. Jonah? Yeah. Don't see him that often. I'd probably say least toxic. Same thing with Yoichi. I used to main Yoichi, but like with never getting cosmetics, I just stopped. So yeah, put him in least toxic. Hattie's in the middle. Another one that like never really gets a lot of play, but when you do get them, they just are bouncing around the map looking for flashlights and just doing the same thing, trying to throw a pallet down. Again, it distracts a killer. It's useful, but it is toxic behavior when you don't need to be doing that 24/7. Again, the balance is, we want to all play the game and do our stuff. We don't want to be handcuffed to a certain area. And I know a lot of killers can get very upset about that. As a survivor, I could care less, but as a killer, I kind of see that as a point. Ada's towards more of the toxic. There's a lot of good Ada players out there, but there's some that are not. Rebecca's whole perk system seems to be like, I'm gonna do good and better stuff, but um, I don't know. I'd say she's in the middle. Victoria's kind of more of the toxic one. There's a lot more. I'm gonna move Kate up. I feel like Kate does deserve to be on towards the top. Um, the brother and sister combination I think are pretty solid to put down here towards the bottom of being pretty normal. I don't think they're really that toxic. I feel like Gabriel can get up there and being pretty toxic. You don't see Gabriel that often, but when you do, yep. Nick Cage. Nick Cage is like a weird type of toxic. Like I feel like he's kind of a trolly toxic, but he's definitely up there. Um, Ellen, you don't really ever see. I'll put in like the least toxic. Alan Wake can be up towards that with a lot of flashlight like perks. He's ran with that and can be kind of annoying, I guess. Sable, I think, is up there with Michaela going on the worst. We've had some really bad Sable teammates. The new elves, I'll put them in the middle. I don't think we've gotten much of them. And that is my toxicity of survivors. Tell me what you guys think and what you guys have experienced. It's kind of just like a really weird one because it's kind of subjective because like you don't see a lot of the characters, so it's hard to say. And when you play, I either play in a duo or a trio most of the time. It's just one person, and when solo queuing is just a whole different thing for a lot of people, and they have like, I'm just doing this task or I'm doing this, and it seems like they're doing a lot worse and being toxic to everybody, but they're just getting their one task done. But there's no way that we know that, so it just seems out of place. But until next time, this has been Japan. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.